Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is August 16th, 2024, and La Liga have approved the Barca Vision deal. And with that, a slew of registrations have been completed. Also, Mika Faye is one step away from abandoning the club. And finally, Vitor Roque has agreed to leave. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only do I get to share Barcelona news with you, but I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering your questions, and getting a discussion going. For those of you who be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion. Now, having said all that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you have to bet us. And if you are looking to buy any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you have to Goal Kit, Skip Back, or Fanatics. Plenty of options. And all links are down below in the description. Now let's dive right into the news, because today was Hansi Flick's first official pre-match press conference. Yes, La Liga is here, guys. La Liga is finally here. After an incredibly long summer with no Barcelona football, it's finally back. Barcelona are set to play against Valencia at Mestalla, which will be a difficult match. Definitely a difficult stadium. Mestalla is always a difficult stadium for Barcelona, and first matches of La Liga are always difficult, or first matches of the season are always difficult for any team, because, you know, you're still coming back from vacation, you're still getting back into rhythm, etc. But tomorrow, La Liga kicks off, and I cannot wait. And don't worry, there will be a post-match live analysis, so stay tuned. Now, having said that, Hansi Flick gave his first official pre-match press conference as Barcelona's coach, and this is what the German had to say about tomorrow's match. And Flick says, "I'm really looking forward to the match. I know that in Valencia it is always difficult. It will be a tough game. They like to attack, so we will have to keep an eye on the space between the defense and the goal. We can't even think about anything that can't be changed. We're going to focus on what we can influence. I have experience, and I've come here accepting the facts that I can't control. I hope we'll see a good show and we can win in Valencia." I gotta say, before I discuss these statements, I really liked Hansi Flick's press conference. It was very short answers, direct to the point, no headlines, no major headlines, nothing controversial. Very simple, short, direct to the point press conference. And here, when he was asked about Valencia, he said, it will be a tough match because they're a team that likes to attack a lot, but he's going to keep an eye to that space that Valencia might leave between their defense and goal. And as we've seen, or at least we've seen some flashes of it during the preseason, we've seen that Flick's Barcelona are really good at fast transitions. They can really get to the opposing area with 2-3 touches. So if Valencia do leave a lot of space behind their defensive line, I'm sure that Flick will be able to take advantage of that. He also said, I also like how he said that, he's come here accepting the facts that he cannot control. And that's very reminiscent of what Johan Cruyff used to say, where he did not care about anything else. That's why you would never hear Johan Cruyff in the press conferences talking about the referees or talking about the pitch, because to him, those are the things that he could not control. He only focused on the things that he could control. And it seems that Flick follows the same line, or at least that's what he's telling us right now. We'll see whether he keeps in line with that message throughout the rest of the season. Now, during this press conference, Hansi Flick did give us one good news, and the other one was kind of like an explanation or an expansion, or I should say confirmation of something that I told you yesterday, which was about Dani Olmo. We'll start about what he said about Dani Olmo, which was the confirmation of yesterday's news, and then we'll talk about the good news that he mentioned. But this is what Hansi Flick had to say. He said regarding Olmo, he said he is not in adequate physical condition for tomorrow. He started training late. Now, in regards to Pedri, and this is where the good news comes in, but he says Pedri is a special player. He changes games. He could be an option for the second half tomorrow. Now, when I say confirmation of news is because I told you yesterday that Olmo was not registered yet with La Liga. And even though Barcelona have up until 5 minutes right before the Valencia match, they have 5 minutes before the Valencia match to register players. And if they can register those players will be able to start in the match. But I told you, despite that window that Barcelona have for tomorrow's match, they are not going to rush Dani Olmo's registration. It's not a priority right now. They're going to wait. Why? Because Dani Olmo just arrived. He only had a few trainings. He's not ready yet. So therefore, Barcelona are not going to be rushing it. And well, today, Flick confirming that Olmo is not, in an optimal physical condition. He still needs to train more. He still needs to get back in competitive rhythm before he can play. And since he's not going to play tomorrow anyways, why bother and, pull a Hail Mary and try to register him last moment, where even if he's registered, he's not going to play. And the second statement, which was the good news, and it's about Pedri, because it looks like Pedri could be available for tomorrow's second half, which is great news. We know Pedri picked up an injury during the Euros. They were saying that he could be back by Athletic Club de Bilbao match, but it seems that he could be ready tomorrow. So that means that we're going to get one of our most important midfielders back. And that's definitely great news, especially in a tough match against Valencia. We need as many players available as possible. Now, I do have to say one thing about the press conference. There was just one thing that I wasn't too happy about when Flick said it. I'm not trying to nitpick, but this is what the German coach had to say when he was asked about the John Gumper Trophy match. He says, "I don't want to say much about the 11. I never do. There are no excuses about Gamper. We accept it. The team was a bit tired because we trained very hard. It was a game that didn't come at the best time because if you win, you have confidence, but we have recovered our energy." Now, you might say, what exactly did I not like about these statements? Well, first of all, I'll say what I did like. And he says, there's no excuse. We didn't do good. We lost. There's no excuse for that. He accepts it, and I like that. As opposed to Xavi, who the team would play horribly, and then he would get in front of the mic and talking about, oh, it was the refs, oh, it was this, it was that. We played great, we deserved to win. Now Flick saying, look, we didn't do good. There's no excuses. But what I didn't like is he says the team was a bit tired because we might have trained too hard. What I don't like about that is because, A, it's a preseason match, and if your team is already tired, that's a problem because we still have the whole season ahead of us. Now, you might say, well, there was flights. You have to go all the way to U.S., different time zone, etc. I get it. But guess what? Barcelona were not the only team who did that. Real Madrid did the same exact preseason tour, and they were completely fine to play the UEFA Super Cup, and they beat Atalanta in a real match, not in a friendly match. So I don't think that's a good excuse. And then if Flick is saying, that maybe they're tired because they trained too hard, then what was the point of all these trainings, 2 sessions a day, every single day of the week? Because, we got to up our intensity. We got to up our conditioning. But if now this whole upping of the conditioning is causing the players to be tired during matches, then maybe there's something not being done correctly. Anyways, I don't know if I'm nitpicking here, but that was the only thing I didn't like from the press conference of Flick. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good press conference, very short, direct to the point. Nothing controversial. We hope it stays that way, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And again, I have to say, I'm very, very excited about tomorrow, guys. Finally, La Liga is back. All right, let's get back to the chat section, or let's start with the chat section, and then we will talk about the Barca Vision deal being approved by La Liga. Enoch says, when will contract situation of Araujo, Pedri, Gavi, and Yamal be solved? Because their contract expire in 2026. All right, let's split this up. Pedri and Gavi, both players want to renew. Both players, the club want to renew. It's just a matter of time once the club, can sit down with them and renew them. Of course, it's not a super priority. Right now, the priority of the club is to offload players and to register the remaining players that are not registered yet. Once that's done, I'm sure the club will sit down, talk with Pedri, talk with Gavi. It should be a straightforward extension because both players want to stay and the club want both players to stay. As far as Araujo, I don't know what's going on. Barcelona have already contacted him multiple times. They've sent him a draft of his contract extension. He hasn't even picked up the phone to say, yes, I like it. No, I hate it. Nothing. He's just ignoring Barcelona. Some people are saying that maybe he's doing the same thing as Frankie, where he's going to wait until 2026 for his contract to expire and then leave as a free agent. I don't know if I want to say that yet. but that's where some people are speculating. Finally, Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal, he has to turn 18 in order to sign a longer contract. When you're under 18, you can only sign contracts for 3 years. That's exactly what happened with Lamine Yamal. He already has an agreement with the club to extend it as soon as he turns 17. He won't turn 17 until next summer. So next summer, we should expect Lamine Yamal to sign a contract. If I'm not mistaken, it was till 2031 or 2032, something like that. All right, more comments. Java the Hut says, if I was Laporta, I wouldn't sign any players until I had all the finances 100% in order and I was under the 1-1 rule. Even if it took another season or two, I would only use La Masia and what we have now. I'm very much in favor of using La Masia players, but you still need signings. Because you need 2 or 3 big signings that can make a difference. Because La Masia players, as great as they are, and even though they might be free because, you know, no transfer fee, and they might give their 200% because they love the club like no other, they're still young. They're youngsters. They don't have experience. So that's why you need, you know, to balance the team out with 2-3 signings to give the team the experience that it needs. Because all inexperienced players is not going to work. You need a balance. All right, we do have a donation. Mustafa, thank you, my friend, for your donation. And says, is Cancelo gone for good? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Barcelona's posture is they're going to wait until the final days of the market. If Cancelo insists on only coming to Barcelona, and by then Manchester City get desperate and say, oh my God, we don't want this guy. He's not leaving anywhere else. I guess we're forced to send him to Barcelona. Then Barcelona will sign him on loan. Because remember, Man City want to offload Cancelo on a permanent transfer. They want 25, 30 million. Barcelona are not willing to do that. They're not willing to sign him on a permanent basis. They want him on loan, simple loan. I take care of his salary. We call it a day. Man City don't want that. So Barcelona are just bidding their time. They want to see maybe last day of the market, Man City see that Cancelo's still there and they don't want him there. And maybe they'll cave and say, okay, fine, here, you can take him on loan. So it will all depend what happens during the final days of the market, but I wouldn't say he's gone for good. All right, one more comment, then we'll do more news. But Afori says, Mo, good evening. Great to see you. I'm really looking forward to our first game. Hope we take home the 3 points. Visca Barça. I am very happy and looking forward to our match as well. I also like or hope that we get the 3 points. And yes, my friend, Visca Barça. All right, let's do the next bit of news. Because, ladies and gentlemen, La Liga have officially approved the Barca Vision deal that Barcelona signed with Aramark. We know that Barcelona needed to cover those 40 million euros that Libero did not pay for Barca Vision or for the purchase of part of Barca Vision back in December. Those 40 millions were due in December. They never came. Barcelona had a deep need to cover those 40 millions to find someone else who would pay those 40 million euros. And just, 2 weeks ago, I think, Barcelona announced that they had reached an agreement with Aramark. That's the catering company. It's a company that Barcelona has an agreement with to cater the Spotify Camp Nou or to provide catering services to the Spotify Camp Nou. And Barcelona announced that they had reached a deal with Aramark, so Aramark can buy a portion of Barca Vision and cover those 40 million euros that Libero had not paid. Well, after that deal was announced, finalized, signed, everything was good, Barcelona presented all the paperwork to La Liga, and today it's official. La Liga have approved this deal. So this deal is official in the eyes of the Spanish League. And with this comes more good news, because as a result of La Liga approving this deal, a slew of registrations followed. You know, we know that Barcelona had a problem with many players not being registered, and La Liga is set to begin tomorrow. Well, technically already began, but for Barcelona, it's set to begin tomorrow. And well, after this deal was approved, Barcelona went ahead and registered a bunch of players. And you might ask, well, what players are you talking about, Mo? All right, let's look at the official page of La Liga. And no, this is the official page. So this is not speculation. This is not rumors. This is official. But let's look at this. Actually, I'll make it full. It doesn't matter, I guess. All right, here we go. Ter Stegen and Iñaki were already registered, of course, as the 2 Barcelona goalkeepers. Defenders, Cuarci, we talked about this in yesterday's video. He officially is the number 2. He will wear the number 2 jersey. We have Balde, Ronald Araujo, and here we go. Surprise, surprise, ladies and gentlemen. Barcelona have officially registered Inigo Martinez. We know that Inigo Martinez has a 2-year contract. Only his first-year contract was registered, and he has a clause in his contract that said that if Barcelona did not register him, they still had to pay his salary for the second year. So if he wouldn't have been registered, he wouldn't have played, but Barcelona would have still had to pay his salary. But good news, because Barcelona have officially registered Inigo Martinez. He was actually registered under that rule that allows Barcelona or any club to register a player in place of an injured one. So remember, Araujo got injured during the Copa America. He's going to be out for 4 months, all the way until December. He's not going to come back by until the second half of La Liga. And under the financial fair play rules, you can use that space that Araujo's salary occupies, or 80% of that space, to register a different player. So that's what Barcelona used, that space that Araujo left, they've used to register Inigo Martinez. Now, the other surprise on here is Lenglet. He was already registered. We talked about it in yesterday's video. But as you can see, he has the number 12 jersey. Now, I did get this question in yesterday's comments. People saying, why is Barcelona registering Lenglet? Well, for 2 reasons. First of all, right now we do have a shortage of center backs, just given the registrations and everything, injuries, etc. And second reason, and this has not been confirmed by Barcelona, but I know this because Barcelona have done this in the past. Under the financial fair play rules, if you register a player and then loan him out, then you can use the full space that he leaves on the wage bill to register someone else. Versus if you don't, you cannot use that. So let's say Lenglet, he has an 18 million euro salary, right? If Barcelona hadn't registered him, if he had just come back from loan and Barcelona loaned him out again, they cannot use those 18 million towards someone else, because it's like the player was never there. It's like the player doesn't exist because he was never registered. He came back from loan and then he left. So that's why Barcelona have registered him, and then they're going to loan him out or sell him, and then the space that he leaves behind is what will be used to register a different player. It's a stupid rule, but that's my understanding of that rule, because I know Barcelona have done this in past transfer markets. All right, more. Eddie Garcia, of course, was registered. We talked about it yesterday. But, oh, why did the page just do that? The page is playing. I think I have a ghost. But here's another surprise, ladies and gentlemen. Pablo Torre has been officially registered as a first-team player with the number 14 jersey. As you know, Hansi Flick was impressed with Pablo Torre. Deco wanted to offload him because he thought that his position of attacking midfielder was pretty much covered. There's a lot of players that can play in that position. But Flick insisted that he wanted Pablo Torre. He was impressed with him. He wanted him registered, and it seems that the club have obliged, and they have registered Pablo Torre. So it looks like Pablo Torre is staying with us through the season. And then the other new registration, Marc Casado. Marc Casado, who just renewed his contract with Barcelona, officially got promoted to the first team, had one hell of a preseason. I was incredibly surprised with him and impressed with him. But he has now been officially registered as a first-team player with the jersey number 17. And the last registration, ladies and gentlemen, the other surprise of the preseason, Pau Victor. Pau Victor, who Barcelona signed for only 3 million euros during this summer, took us all by surprise during the preseason. I'm very excited to see him in that center forward position this season. And he has been officially registered, so he will be able to play in tomorrow's match. And of course, we already know that Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Lamine Yamal had been registered as well. So those are the new registrations. We have Pablo Torre, Marc Casado, and Pau Victor getting officially registered, and then Inigo Martinez also registered with the space that Araujo left behind. So great news on all fronts, on the fact that La Liga approved the Aramark deal, and on all these registrations, and all these players will be available for tomorrow's match. All right, let's do the comment section, and then we will talk about Mika Faye, because he is very close to leaving. And we have another donation. Young Braveheart, thank you, my friend, for consistently being generous and always supporting the channel. But Young Braveheart says, thanks, Mo. Let's go, Barcelona. Yes, let's go, Barcelona. Visca Barça. All right, let's see. What else? Oh, sorry. Did not mean to do that. Nathan says, Mo, what if we bring back Neymar on loan? Bringing back Neymar on... Let's be serious here. Neymar is completely finished. He was finished when he was at PSG. He's even more finished now that he's in Saudi Arabia. I would not even waste my time thinking about bringing Neymar, let alone actually bringing Neymar. DJ says, Leipzig broke my heart by selling us Olmo to sign Nusa. Signing Nusa would have been better than nothing. I honestly still don't understand a Daniel Olmo signing. If someone can explain it to me, please do so. Ross says, do you have a second team you like? I'm, of course, a diehard Barca fan, but I like to pick a second team to support here and there, depending on what's attractive out there, like last year's Leverkusen. I actually don't. I just watch Barca. I really do. I think between my busy schedule with work, between the YouTube channel, and between, watching Barca and following Barcelona's news and politics and everything, that's pretty much my whole time. And I just don't have enough. There's not enough hours in a day for me to watch another team. And it's definitely not enough hours in a day to even watch another sport. Pretty much football is all I watch. And that's it. I live, eat, breathe football. McBarca says, Roque deal hurts me like why who Deco signed unrequested players by the coach. Roque was Deco's bet, but Xabi did also request him. So it's not entirely on Deco, but you're right. What the hell was Deco thinking? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. The Matrix says we should just sell Vitor and try to sign Lukaku. You had me and let's sell Vitor. And then you completely lost me. Let's sign Lukaku. MFA Scully says, hi Mo, what about Mika Faye getting sold for 10 to 5 plus 5 with a buyback clause of 30 million? Let's talk about that, because that's the next bit of news. But let's talk about Mika Faye, since our friend MFA Scully here mentioned him. But the news is about Mika Faye that he is incredibly close to being offloaded. Now, Mika Faye, it seems that Hansi Flick was not convinced with him at all during the preseason. Flick was really insisting that he stay. Barcelona wanted to offload him before because we know his agent was pressuring, saying we want guaranteed first team minutes. Barcelona said we can't give you that guarantee. So Mika Faye's agent was like, all right, then we'll leave. Barcelona was like, okay, fine, then leave, but bring us a good offer. We know that he almost got transferred to Porto for 15 million, and then Porto was like, sorry, I only have 5. Barcelona was like, get the hell out of here. And Flick was like, hold on, don't sell him yet. I want to see him during the preseason. Well, Flick saw Mika Faye during the preseason. He was not impressed. Even though Flick and the training staff were very impressed with his speed, with his physicality, with his power, with his strength, they said he had a lot of technical gaffes, where a lot of times he loses focus and commits some very, very silly mistakes. It's kind of like the same thing as the Abde. Abde, he had some pretty promising things, but then he also had all those technical gaffes where he would just make silly mistakes, make some really weird decisions, and it looks like Mika Faye has the same problem. And therefore, Hansi Flick was not impressed, and since Hansi Flick was not impressed, then Barcelona have decided now to offload Mika Faye. And Rennes, as I told you before, are very, very insistent. They want to take the player. They had already offered Barcelona 10 million euros fixed. They're saying now that might be 11 plus another 4 or 5 in variables, and maybe with the possibility of a buyback clause. And it looks like this deal is going to happen. Why do I think this deal is going to happen? Because who was missing today from training? Lo and behold, Mika Faye. Why was he missing from training? Because he had a virus. And anyone in the footballing world who follows transfers, we all know that when a player has a virus and misses training due to that virus is because they're about to be offloaded. That's usually the excuse that clubs use. That means they're about to finalize the transfer. They don't want to have the player train or play so that he doesn't get injured. They don't want to risk that and then the whole deal falling apart. So in order for that player not to train or not to play, they use the virus excuse as not to set off any alarms in the press. So the press think, oh, he's just missing because he's sick. But by now, we all know that trick. So Mika Faye was not in training today due to that virus, which we all know it means that they're finalizing his transfer. And with that, it looks like Mika Faye is set to go to Rennes. Now, this is not confirmed yet, but that's what it's looking like. There are, of course, other clubs who are interested in him. Those clubs might do a last-second push, increase an offer or etc. But for now, it looks like it could be Rennes, and it looks like Mika Faye is on his way out. Now, if Barcelona do sell him for 15 million euros, I think it's a good deal. Barcelona signed him for 1.5. So if they sell him for 15, that's 10 times what they paid for. So that's pretty much a 1,000% ROI or return on your investment, which I wish I could do that, but unfortunately, I can't. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we will talk about Vitor Roque. All right, let's see. Pete says, why are some players like Lenglet, Paulo Torre, Eric Garcia, and like blank instead of their picture? I don't know. That's a question for La Liga. Let's see. What else? Boop, 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 boop. Amy Bussell says, it's almost registered. No. David Blandon says, what has become of the Xavi Simons deal? I know he's going to Bayern. I don't know if that has actually materialized, but I know Bayern were ready to make him like one of the most expensive signings. I haven't been following, honestly, his move, because once it was ruled out that Barcelona were signing him, I was like, I really don't care. But I'm pretty sure he will end up in Bayern Munich. And if not, again, I don't care. Barcelona have ruled out that signing, so I'm not interested. Isaiah says, Mo, please, why is Dani Olmo not registered? I explained that at the beginning of the video. I don't want to be repetitive. So if you want to watch it once it ends, that'd be great. And Fansu says, hello, Mo. My name's Fansu, based in Italy, from Gambia. I watch your live every time. Wow, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. And King Ramsey says, hi, Mo, great work. And please don't become toxic like all these other French and Spanish so-called culés, destroying what it even means to be a culé. I'll try, but I'm not sure what that means, to destroy what means to be a culé. If you can expand, that'd be awesome. Fast Car Sexy says, Barca team doesn't look good, thus we must get the best strategy this season. I think the team looks great. I think we have great players, very promising players. Now we'll see whether Flick can get the best out of him. All right, let's get back to the news. We'll do the last bit of news, and then we'll do more comments. But let's talk about Vitor Roque, because the Brazilian player has officially agreed to leave the club. Now, we know that there was a lot of speculation about Roque leaving when Xavi was here, and Xavi left, Flick came, and then Vitor Roque got kind of a new ray of hope that maybe he'd be able to win a spot on the first team. And even though Barcelona were still talking about offloading him, Vitor Roque was insisting that, no, I'm not leaving. I want to do the preseason. I know I have what it takes to convince Flick. I know I can convince Flick. So he stayed. He did the preseason. And what happened? He did not convince Flick. So since Vitor Roque has not been able to convince Hansi Flick, he has now accepted his fate, that his future lies somewhere else outside Barcelona. And now the player is willing to leave the club. Now, Barcelona have offered Vitor Roque to multiple clubs, including Real Sociedad, Porto, and even Girona. And of course, we also know that Sporting CP are interested in the player. We'll see which one of these clubs make an official offer for him. We know that Barcelona want a minimum of 30 million euros. They want something between 30 to 35. We know Everton had actually made an offer for 25 million fixed plus 3 in variables, which was immediately rejected by Barcelona because Barcelona paid 30 million for Roque, so they don't want to lose money on that investment. Instead, they want to either break even by selling him for 30, or they can sell him for 35 and, make a 5 million euro profit. And of course, all is welcome. Now, if Barcelona cannot get an actual offer for 30 to 35 million, then they are open to sending the player out on loan. Maybe loan him out, see if his value increases, and then they can sell him next summer, or maybe even send him out on loan with an obligation to buy at the end of the season. But Vitor Roque is on his way out, whether it be on a permanent transfer, whether it be on a loan, whether it be on a loan with an obligation to buy, a loan with an option to buy, whatever it may be, Vitor Roque is on his way out, and the player has accepted his fate, and he will be leaving Barcelona this summer. And with those two exits, with Mika Faye and Vitor Roque, Barcelona should be able to register the remainder of the player, because we're talking about, possibly 45 to 50 million euro income from the sale of these two players. which could go a long way in helping and balancing Barcelona's finances. Now, my whole problem with the whole Vitor Roque situation is that I think the club or Deco or Laporta or someone still owes us an explanation. Because someone needs to explain to us why Barcelona paid 30 million euros for a player that failed to convince Xavi and for a player that failed to convince Hansi Flick. And I think the club needs to do an internal assessment, an audit of how things are being managed, all the way down from the scouts who saw the player play, who produced the reports, and all the way to the top, to Deco, who approved this and spent the club's money. But the club, I think, needs to do an internal audit, figure out what the hell went wrong, and then fix that so that doesn't happen again, because we cannot be spending 30 million euros on players that cannot convince. That's just not okay. It needs to be fixed, especially given the club's delicate financial situation. We can't be spending our very little money that we have on players that are simply not good enough. All right. That is all the news, ladies and gentlemen, but let's do more comments before we end. Let's see. The Matrix says we should not miss out on Victor. I can never say that last name, so I'm not even going to try. Next season, unless we go in for Haaland or Lautaro Martinez. I don't think we're going for either. There's no need. But we'll see. Right? We have Pau Victor, who very much so could become the next best thing this season. Right behind him, we have Tony Fernandez. So I don't know if we need to go spend whatever, 90 million, 80 million for Lautaro or 120, 150 for Haaland. All right, we have another donation from Mustafa. Thank you, my friend, for your generosity. But says Frankie and Araujo. Huh? Becoming annoying? I don't even care if we offload them at this point. I wouldn't care if we offload Frankie. I don't know I could say the same about Araujo, just given how Araujo, whether we like or not the fact that what he's doing, he's still one of the best center backs in Europe. Frankie, on the other hand, yes, he's a great midfielder, but I wouldn't miss him if we get rid of him. I don't know. You guys might have a different opinion. If you do, let me know. And Realtor Prayer says, hi, Mo. I'm Jude watching from Lagos, Nigeria. Why is Barcelona talking about Luis Diaz deal when they're unable to raise their Olmo? It's looking like another Nico Williams saga. There's actually news in the Luis Diaz saga, and I'll talk about it in the next video, which I will upload, I want to say about an hour after this podcast ends. And Mr. Steele says, genuinely concerning how this club is being ran. I'm not one to entertain conspiracies, but I genuinely would not be surprised if there's a Madrid rat in office. I don't know about all that. All right, Lamin says, hello, Mo. I'm Lamin from Gambia, but in Granada, Spain. All right, let's go. By the way, I love Granada. I went to Granada. I absolutely loved it. It was really hot in the summer, though. I wouldn't recommend it in the summer, but I really, really loved Granada. Really cool city. But anyways, he says, I do watch your lives and listen to your videos always about the financial fair play of Barca. Sometimes I feel fucked up, man, but vamos Vizca Barça siempre. Yes, my friend, I feel the same way. And yes, I agree. Vizca Barça. Jonathan says, Frankie's stats last year was rubbish. They were. But to be fair, he was injured like 3 times. Not to defend him. Oh, and the Kool-Aid podcast. What's up, man? Says, what's up, Mo? Loving the living stream. The living stream. I think so. Can't even read anymore. Thank you, my friends. By the way, I mentioned this the other day, but I was on the Kool-Aid podcast. Really, really amazing show, by the way. It was my second time on it. I highly, highly recommend you guys to go check it out. The panels are always amazing. The topics of discussion are always top-notch, and the debate is very, very awesome. Couldn't think of a word. I'm really tired. But point being, check out the Kool-Aid podcast. Amazing channel, amazing show. I always have fun when I go on it, so make sure to show them some love. All right, Kino says, any word on Ansu? It looks like Ansu's on his way out. Where to? That's the big question. But as you saw, his registration, he no longer has a number. He's not a number 10 anymore. That should tell you that Barcelona are pretty much, pushing him out. And Martino Bank says VR can improve by going on loan. Oh, Vitor Roque. Can improve by going on loan and become a Vinny for us. Hey, if that could happen, I'm all for it, because at the end of the day, I don't have anything against Vitor Roque. If he could go on loan and adapt and then come back and be this huge, big signing, I'm all for it, because that means that we didn't waste our investment, right? At the end of the day, Barcelona paid 30 million for him. And no matter who he is, I still want that player to succeed, because I want my club to get its money's worth, right? The same with Rafinha. As much crap as I talk about Rafinha, if Rafinha tomorrow starts playing amazing, I'm all for it. I'll applaud him. I'll be like, yes, take my hat off, because at the end of the day, I want our players to do their best, because if our players do their best, our team does best, and at the end of the day, that's what I want to see, right? And I want my club again to get its money's worth. So if that happens, I'm all for it. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's just Barcelona didn't give him enough time. Remember, it took Vinny 2 seasons to even to grow into the player that he is. When Vinny first started in Madrid, everybody laughed at him, like, ha ha ha, look at Vinny. Madrid wasted their money. What a fraud. Look at him. He's not a good player, and now look at him, one of the best players in the world. So maybe that is the problem. I don't know. Garrett says, why is Barca not looking at Jordan Sancho or Federico Chiesa instead of breaking the bank on Leao or Luis Diaz? Well, Leao is not being considered. Let's just put that out there. As far as Luis Diaz, again, there's news. I'll talk about it in the next video. Jadon Sancho was considered really early on, I think back in May, if I'm not mistaken, maybe April, but there was a little bit of problem, I think, with his extracurricular activities. Let's put it that way. And like I said, as far as Chiesa, I'll talk about it in a little bit. And G. Ravi says, can we send Ansu on loan because he is injured now? Most likely that's what's going to happen. I just don't see any clubs paying actual money for him, given his injuries. Most likely he will be out on loan. And Solslat says, see, shouldn't we wait for Roque? It's not even one official season he was here on loan. I think that could be a problem, yeah. Like I said, maybe it's just Barcelona didn't give him enough time. I don't know. I'm not a coach. I'm not there in the trainings. I don't see what they see. But maybe that is a problem. Maybe Barcelona were just too impatient with him, right? But anyways, that is all for the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, your generous donations. I will be uploading another video in a little bit. I want to say in the next hour, there's more news, including Federico Chiesa, since a lot of you are talking about it. But check out that video. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, peace, Barça.